Hey, what's up guys? Sean here. So today is new gear day. I've got a new stove that I've been wanting for so long and it's finally here. And if you stick around to the end, I'm going to show you a little recipe that's really easy and it's delicious. You're going to enjoy it. Let's get it. So if you've been following the channel for any length of time, you'll probably have seen this stove in my overlanding videos. So this is kind of the stove that I like to use for my car camping, overlanding kind of thing. Problem is, the thing is huge. When I went to North Carolina, Tony from Random Adventures 2.0 let me try out his Fire Maple Saturn stove. And I fell in love with the thing. And I wanted one immediately. But I noticed that they had a new model coming out. So today we're going to talk about the Fire Maple Saturn X. Tony has a really good video that he just put out on the Fire Maple Saturn X. He goes into detail on it, what it's made of, stuff like that. So if that's something you're interested in, go check out Tony's video. I'll actually link it up here if you're interested in that. But I want to show you this little stove. One of the nice things about it is its small form factor. It is so much smaller than that other stove, it's ridiculous. I think it's like 3.26 pounds or something like that, so it's not ultra light. But if you were just going in on a little day hike or something like that, if you were so inclined, you could throw this in a pack and carry it. I don't think I would, but you could if you wanted to. But this thing has a really cool feature that I want to show you guys. It has some really cool features altogether. But there's something in particular that I want to show you. But to start off with, let's just take it out of here and I'll show you what it looks like. Alright, so my immediate reaction is quality when I feel this thing. It has some good heft to it, guys. It feels solid, it feels sturdy. The stainless steel on this is really nice, and it's good and thick, so it's not the super thin garbage that a lot of times you see. It's got some nice jimping on here to hold on to your pots and little cups and stuff. So that's one of the nice things about this, is when you fold these little legs in, it can hold a really small cup. But as you fold these legs out on top of it, it'll hold a really good sized pan. I've cooked on a 12-inch cast iron frying pan with one of these, and it works really, really well. If you notice here in the middle, it has a really nice burner, good sized burner, so that's going to give you a good heat source. And it has these little things on here. These are preheat tubes, and the preheat tubes actually help it when the temperatures are colder, and it will heat the fuel and make it burn hotter and make it burn better in low temps. Now, speaking of heat, this thing runs, if I'm not mistaken, I don't have my numbers in front of me, but if I'm not mistaken, it's around 15,500 BTUs. If that's not correct, I'll post it on the screen here. But that means that this is twice the BTUs of this. These run about 8,000 BTUs. But what does that mean? So with more BTUs of heat, means it's going to boil water quicker, it's going to cook more efficiently. And then when you are searing like a steak or anything like that, it's going to sear a lot better. Plus, you're also going to be able to fry things a lot better because the heat will be a lot higher. And also, when you invert the can, and I'll show you something about that here in a minute, it actually bumps up the heat on that. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 37,000 BTUs. So we'll have to look into that to make sure that's correct. But I think it is. The nice thing about this thing also is it has a braided line, braided stainless steel line on it. And that looks really good. The connections are nice. It has a really nice valve on it. So if you look at the valve there, one of the upgrades to this, the old one had a thumb screw on here that was just the screw. This one has this metal piece on here that makes it easier to turn the valve back and forth. Instead of trying to get your fingers on the little screw, it has this piece right here to help you. And if you're like me and you have a little arthritis in your fingers and stuff like that, That makes it a whole lot easier to adjust this valve. And another thing I like about this is pretty tight. It's not super loose, so I think you'll get really good fine adjustment for your heat, your flame, so you can actually set this thing pretty low and actually simmer with it, which is kind of a game changer when you're camping in the woods, because a lot of times getting a little gas stove to simmer is pretty tough. I want to flip this thing over. I got a couple of things I want to show you there, and then here in just a few minutes we're going to cook some lunch. It's going to be delicious. All right, so as we flip this thing over, we'll take a look at the bottom of it and show you a couple cool things about it. So it has these legs on the bottom of them, so if you wanted to use it just with these legs on a tabletop, that's fine. It has these rubber pieces on here, and that makes these not floppy. It makes them actually feel really good. And also, if you'll notice, there's jimping on the feet also, which makes this thing not slide around on your tabletop or picnic table or something so much. And you fold these things out. If you look on this particular leg right here, it has an igniter on it, which is really cool. So if you didn't bring your lighter, it has an igniter. And this right here is pretty cool. I'll show you this in just a second. But this is a little magnet, and I'll show you what that's for. Now, one of the nice things about this Fire Maple Saturn X is, unlike the original Fire Maple Saturn, this one comes with legs. So in the bottom of this little case that it comes in, it's a really nice case. It's soft, but it's also a hard shell case. So it's a really nice little case, but in the bottom of that comes these legs right here. We're going to take these things out, and I'll show you how they work on there. They're in there pretty good. Come on there. Get out of there. Got them. All right, they're in there pretty good. So the nice thing about that is they're not going to rattle around on you. Now, you got 3 legs. If you look, it has a male end on there. It screws in. And in the bottom of this, if you look here, there's threads, and that's where this screws into. So we'll take this and screw these into those threads. Just like that. All right, so as you can see, we got the 3 little legs on there. Now, if you were sitting on the ground cooking, this first set of legs would be very, very convenient, because instead of having to constantly be hunched over to cook, that would be at a good height to cook. But let's say you're sitting like me, you don't have a table, you're just sitting in your camp chair. This thing is really cool because it has extendable legs on it. So these legs extend out. Find the clicker. The legs extend out. One other click. So as you're pulling these out, you'll notice there's a black line on this leg. As you pull this thing out, there's an arrow, and as you line that arrow up, it pulls in and clicks in place. Really nice. Push that back in and it just slides back up and retracts. So earlier we were discussing using the isobutane in cold temperatures, and sometimes you have to turn it upside down to boost the BTUs of the stove. It actually just makes the stove burn a little hotter. Well, Fire Maple has done something really cool here. So on the bottom of this stove, it has this piece that flips down. But the nice thing about that is it's magnetic. So your canister will hang upside down, securely connected right to the bottom of the stove. That's pretty cool. So like I was saying, these legs are really convenient. So let's say you don't have a table. All you've got is your little stove with you. With those legs extended, it makes it really convenient and comfortable to just sit here, throw a pan on top of your stove, and it's at the perfect height to cook at. So you could take it off, you could do whatever you need to do, and your food, your stove, and everything is at the perfect height to cook at. All right, so we're going to do this like the hot rod shows, the hot rod TV shows. We're going to do a cold start on this thing. This thing has never had gas hooked up to it, and it has never once been fired up. So we're gonna hook the gas up to it now, and we're gonna run a cold start on it and just see how it does. Alright, so I know that one of these legs has an igniter on it. Which one is it? It's this one right here. So I've got my igniter right here, got my canister. Let's kick some gas on. Listen for it. I can hear it. One click. One click. The very first click. Holy crap. That is freaking awesome. Yeah, man, I like that. I can turn that down really low. Wow. I know you guys really can't see that flame, but it is super low. Very, very, very cool. Well, I've kind of showed you everything about this little stove, but I think it's time for us to cook some lunch. This is going to be pretty good. Whew, I'm going to tell you guys, it is hot. Sitting here in the shade, it's not too bad, but it is definitely hot. So today, wanted to make something for lunch that I haven't had in a long time. So I've got these little pork loin, I can't hardly say that, pork loin rib chops. And I haven't had a pork chop sandwich in a long time, fried pork chop sandwich. But we're going to do something a little different today. My mom, I've seen her make these back in the day, and I'm going to do it just a little different than the way she used to do it, but it's going to be fairly similar. So instead of breading these with flour, we're going to bread them with cornmeal. But we're going to do them with the Jiffy Mix cornmeal, make it really simple. And this is the Jiffy Mix cornmeal with honey in it. I think that's going to give them a really good flavor. So we're going to add the Jiffy Mix cornmeal. And we don't need a ton of it. So we'll save some of it for, I might use some of it for dinner tonight at home. So we're going to take this Jiffy Mix cornmeal, and I've got a 1 gallon Ziploc bag. I'm going to pour some of this cornmeal in there, and I've got some salt and pepper. So I've done this in a way, or tried to do this in a way, where you could actually pack this stuff in and cook it if you wanted to in camp, and it would be fairly simple. So you could put all of this stuff in this Ziploc bag if you wanted to, but we're going to put some of this cornmeal in this Ziploc bag. Something like that. Doesn't need to be a ton because we're not making a batter. We're just gonna put a little coating on these. So I got some salt and pepper. Just some salt and pepper packets from Publix because they're easy to pack. We're gonna put a little salt and pepper in these. Now, if you hear some traffic going by, I apologize. There's a road right over here. But I just found me somewhere to go. I couldn't go to the river because after all the rain we've been getting, the river's kind of flooded right now. But that's not a bad thing. We've been needing this rain. So, put some salt in there. We'll put some pepper in it. Alright, now we got that stuff together. I'm going to just take this and make sure I get all these little these little clumps crumbled up. Get it all shook up good, mixed together good. Now you can get as fancy or as simple as you want with this. You could easily bring some cream or something to put the pork chops in first and then bread them. We're not going to go through all that today. We don't need to. I'm trying to do it as simple And actually I want this to be more of a shake and bake feel. I don't want it to be a breading on the pork chops. That's how Mama did it. And Mama always would just wet the pork chops with water and then put the cornmeal on them. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to take these pork chops and get them wet, and then we're going to put them in here and make shake and bake with them.
It's shake and bake, and I help.
Now after you do this, after you've bread these, I want you to let them sit for 5-8 minutes or so, somewhere around there. And so what that's going to do is that's going to kind of allow this to set up on there and adhere. And while that's going on, we're going to get our oil ready to go. Now as far as oil goes, use whatever you like. I don't care what kind of oil you use. I'm going to be using peanut oil just because I like peanut oil for frying. But you use whatever you want to use on that. It doesn't matter to me. So we're going to put enough oil in the pan to kind of come up about halfway on the pork chops. We don't need to completely make them float or submerge them, but just so they'll come up about halfway on the pork chop. Boy, it didn't take any time to get that oil hot. It's starting to get hot super fast. That's really cool. So, as with any time you're frying, be super careful. No kids running around, no dogs running around, and just be super careful when you're frying anything. It's dangerous. It can really, really hurt you. So now we've got our oil heating up. It's almost to temperature already. We're going to have us some fried pork chops here in just a few minutes. And I'm ready. Now I'm going to tell you, that smells like Mama's house already. That's funny how smells like that create a memory, huh? The nice thing is too, I can turn this heat down on that oil, and it is so sensitive. That valve is so sensitive. I can bring that heat right down. Now we're not going to just make fried pork chops. We're going to make a fried pork chop sandwich, or a couple of them. I'm going to let that one go a little long. That oil was a little hot. It got real hot real fast. You had to cut me a little slack. This is my first time using this stove, so it actually got real hot real fast, which is not a bad thing, but it's just something you got to get used to. So when you got something cooking like that, and it gets real hot real fast, you got to be on the ball pretty fast. Boy, it smells good though. That is literally the absolute perfect height to work on. Perfect height. Alright, so my pork chops got a little dark. Little bit. But that's okay. This is my first time out with it. My test drive, my test run, whatever you want to call it. But I think this is still going to be really good. And that thing heated that oil up so fast. Way faster than I was even ready for. And I didn't even have it cranked up very hot. So this thing puts out a ton of heat. But the nice thing is that that valve works so good, you can turn that flame down to next to nothing. And I really, really like this. So this will be my new Overlanding stove. It's going to go in my Overlanding kit. It's going to save so much room in there. I can get rid of that big box. And that box is so bulky and everything. And like I said, those are about 8,000 BTUs. And this is a little over double, I believe. And it just worked so good. But it's time to make a sandwich, I think. So, first thing I want to do, because it cooks so fast, I want to make sure these pork chops actually got done. You don't mess around with pork like that, you know. So I want to make sure that these pork chops actually got done, and it looks like they got perfectly done. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, we're good and done there. Good and done. Now I know I want this on a sandwich, but I want a little bite to start with. You guys know I'm a sucker for pork. Oh man. That little bit of honey is so good. It does have a little bit of charred taste where I let the oil get too hot, so that's something that'll take a little getting used to. But that's okay. Man, that is good. Let's make us a sandwich. So, I got this. Ooh, about made a mess. I got this Nature's Own perfectly crafted thick sliced brioche bread. I love brioche bread, guys. Sarah and I have gotten where we eat quite a bit of it. So I'm gonna take me a couple pieces. And I think I'm gonna put a little bit of mayo on here. I got some packets of Duke's mayo, and I got some Texas Pete hot sauce to go on it. So I'm gonna put a little mayo on there first. I got oil on my fingers, so I can't. There we go. I'm gonna put a little mayo on here. Like that. And you got to have mayo on both sides, I feel. So what we're gonna do, kind of smear this around just a little bit. And do the mush technique. Mush those pieces of bread together. Make a jam sandwich. Jam them together. And you got mayo on both sides. Throw a pork chop on there. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, hot sauce. I know I can't open that hot sauce with these fingers. Alright, that'll work. I'll put us some hot sauce on that bad boy. Ooh, ooh. That is gonna be good. That takes me back. That takes me back. Mm. Mm. So good. Fried pork chop sandwich in the woods. So easy. It takes a few extra pieces. You're not gonna typically hike all this stuff in, but if you're car camping, if you've got your overlanding rig, what have you, or you may throw it in a day pack if you're not going far. But man, you cannot go wrong with that pork chop sandwich. Holy crap. crap. That's a memory. Alright guys, it's as simple as that. The new Fire Maple Saturn X. This thing is freaking awesome. So at the time of filming, I think this thing was around $100 or $109, somewhere around there. You can find it a little cheaper sometimes. I haven't found it on Amazon yet. I did get this from the Fire Maple store myself. I purchased this. This was not sent to me. I just wanted one, so I got one. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed my lunch here, and I am loving this new Fire Maple Saturn X. If you enjoyed this video, give it that big thumbs up for me. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down there, ring the notification bell so you get notified next time we put out a video. I appreciate you guys watching. I'll see you next week.